I'm going to bring this all to a close. Thank you guys for that wonderful talk. Ah, that's fine, that's fine. So the one serious thing I should say is that the Women in Game Development table is right out back there. It's going to have books that you can pre-order. And so if you want to, please gather there. If you're an investor, gather at that Women in Game Development table. And if you're someone looking for investment, you can also gather at that table. So people who are hanging around that table, you guys can introduce yourselves to each other. So anyway, so I'm also going to go and talk about and summarize what we learned today. And what we learned, you know, and everybody always talks about misquoting journalists a lot, right? And I'm gonna deliberately misquote some people today and what they said, and you guys can figure out what's true or what's not true. Okay. So, Jason Rubin from Oculus. In 6 months to a year, we'll see incredible VR apps and revenues for developers. True or not true? He said it. Roy Taylor, I liked what the VCs on the VC panel and Roy Taylor from the hardware company said. I think the VCs said that the hardware companies are willing to invest in VR companies now. And then Roy was saying the VCs are willing to invest in VR companies now. Maybe, maybe not. Peter Levin said Lionsgate is working with 11 developers on hardcore and casual Hollywood-branded VR titles. On the VR panel, or a VC panel again, China is an incredible place for VR amusement parks. HTC is opening 10,000 retail VR locations in China. Richard Marks, focus on making people feel presence. Jamil Maladina, low friction VR rules, and Google is curating a Daydream launch portfolio that is going to be highly curated. Novello Spiteri, accessible design is direly needed. And Peter Moore, forget esports is where, forget VR, esports is where it's at. We're going to blast by the earnings predictions tomorrow. And then 40% of our developers are working on live operations. One of those statements is true. Mike, closing for you.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks, gentlemen. That was fantastic. It's quite a pleasure. We've got one last slide left, which is to thank our sponsors again today. I actually made an error this morning, and I feel horrible about it because we really appreciate these companies' support. So Google is our platinum sponsor, AdColony is gold, and Intel and Tapjoy are silver sponsors. So I've been asked a few times whether the barbecue is a SoCal barbecue or a social barbecue, and the answer is it is both, and it is starting right now. So come join us. We're looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.